to be fair. You know what? This is what I. God damn it! I love that I now have nothing on the thing too.
I just like that we're gone.
Yeah.
Good job, Brad.
Go to call.
Any chance? Can anyone here show Brad how to open a PDF?
I hate everyone and everyone in this stream right now. I love that the message for me starting this when I go, okay, everything's set up, guys, go live. And YouTube went, hey, eat a dick. And I went, I don't know how to fucking fix eat a dick on the message. So, yeah, we're not on time. And I 90% sure if I go over here to my blood pressure device that I'm supposed to use, that I will click it on and it will be significantly higher than it was earlier today. So, how's it going, everybody? I am Mr. Brad Chester, king of technology, maybe the emperor of technology.
Coming to us from what appears to be the Witness Protection Program.
I know. Sitting in the dark.
I love it. Corey, for the $5 super chat, start us off with, can't stay, swoop and poop. Necrons are the best bitches. Fucking shit, guys. So this is definitely going to be the most scientific, fact-based stream that I've done in a long, long time, because I'm going off the three of us going, hey, what do we think is the coolest? And we will be heavily fucking influenced by whatever you guys put in chat. So, and because,
well, given that Brad's image is
going in order of what you've put here, Brad.
I'm gonna do
these lovely old Codex covers.
Yes.
Well, that's what I was saying. Brian, I say we just open with World Eaters and Votan.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because
they're not there at all. Yeah.
Look, man, I got a tier thing, and I thought that it had most of the things. You know what? Screw you guys. Because Corey gave us a super chat, I'm going with Necrons first. Necrons have been around a hot minute. Their lore has been retconned several of the times.
Yeah.
They
like
used to
every
be.
time they put a Codex out.
Well, yeah, because they used to be a fairly They started off as just Necrons. They were this cohesive, evil empire type thing.
One unit.
It started out as a white dwarf army.
Yeah.
You had to buy little metal warriors, and that's all you could buy, and you had to buy all of them.
Sorry, but
then you could get a lord. Then you could get a scarab metal base.
Yep. Well, you had warriors, immortals, and that was it. What we originally got. I'm going to the wall though because this might be one of my favorite quotes of the evening. Brad, barbarian of bytes, king of kilobytes, archon of AOL.
I will say, I actually am happy that you don't have an @AOL email address.
So, I mean,
that's just because we made him upgrade it
anymore.
I mean, they did get super tricked by. I love the fact that for basically thousands, maybe wildly more, they tried to figure out how to interact with the Catan, and then they instantly got deceived. I don't know, by the guy called the Deceiver. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the name he gave to them. So. They do have lore forever. They've been around forever.
They do, and they don't play anywhere near their lore. I'm sorry, just call it what it is. Necrons, Necrons should be Grey Tide Necrons are S tier lore. What we see today is not.
The walking phalanx of the Necrons, where they just keep falling, getting back up, keep falling, getting back up,
They're
and they
Terminators.
never stop marching forward. Doesn't exist in the game.
Yeah.
Which sucks horribly. We did have that feeling a little bit earlier this edition.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have that feeling that I want out of the Necrons. And I love the Necrons. I enjoy playing them. They're probably my second biggest fully painted army. It's one of those armies that I just think their lore has changed so many times, especially from the start of it, to where they've just retcon this, retcon that. Oh, we're going to add this, we're going to add that. None of it was cohesive. I just kind of think they're a B tier
I put them lower.
Well, I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna go with this. Originally,
the whole point on a Necron is that the Necrons are supposed to be, just this endlessly, endless phalanx of just gray metal coming at you.
Tech also.
You kill it, and more behind it, and the ones you killed pop up. So if they make Gray Tide work, done.
They also their gun should cut through everything because their tech is still ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I do have to go with what KR asked. He goes, so you're ranking this on shit codex writing or actual books? Now, my actual ranking, and I want to throw this out to you because I didn't tell you this. I just said we were ranking them. Is I was going to go with codex lore first. Like if you're weighting it, and then book second. Because if you went on books, Necrons would probably be higher up because they do have, like the Infinite and the Divine was boss mode as a book, and they have some cameos. I think that I'm going to make Necrons my baseline, and I'm just going to make them a B tier in lore. What do you guys think?
I think that's fair. I think don't get me wrong, I think they're enjoyable. I think they're good. Codex writing's been inconsistent on the lore side of things.
Inconsistent. It's been wildly inconsistent.
It's very inconsistent. And it's just one of those things of they're okay. I've seen much better writing, and I'm sure we're going to get to those better armies.
Yeah.
You know what?
Do in order, right? So save yourself the difficulty so you don't have to find stuff. It's easier to talk in order.
Oh, fine, if you're going to be like that, but there's a couple big ones that immediately come up.
Do white stars.
We're going to talk about demons, chaos demons.
Again, I put it low. I think if we're doing codex, I don't know.
So my issue is the codex lore has always been kind of just generic descriptive with a very little bit of storyline throughout it.
We've had a couple editions where the Chaos Codex was pretty boss mode when they first, showed us Fate Weaver and stuff like that. We had some great lore in those.
Actually, that's a good point. Which codexes? Because if we do like Eldar 4th edition codex, it's freaking like gold.
It's a conglomeration, my friend. You're given the whole score.
Yeah, but the 7th and 8th edition.
Given the whole score, I mean, look, the codex has been okay at best.
Mm-hmm.
But in lore, there hasn't been like any, because we're sticking to 40K on this. There just hasn't been any great demons.
Oh no! In fantasy writing, holy shit, they're all over the place.
Entirely different story. But in 40K, like the best thing they've written is a couple Nurgle things that were kind of entertaining during Dark Imperium. But outside of that, they're kind of just
Yeah,
I
actually think the demon writing's better in the other codexes than in their own codex.
Yes, people refer to them all the time. KR's got a good quote though. He goes, "Always remember that nothing is retcon, just myths and legends retold. Look at contemporary history, which is constantly written."
I think demons are I actually think if you got them in C, I'm gonna super argue with you that they're probably D, if not F tier.
That's what I was gonna say.
I just think they don't.
You want me to drop them to D for demon?
Let's put them in F for now, and we'll make them the worst. If Necrons are
no, because we got custodes coming up, and you know how I feel about this.
No, the customs lore is really good. It's just their rules are terrible. The custom books are good.
Some of their books are good. Their lore is just okay. They've got a couple guys that are super cool. Paul literally just made his own Frankenstein Marines, you know what I mean? Which is pretty badass. And he went along with the Crusade. But a lot of the custodes, like the main people that are in the custodes, the majority of custodes, are just me with a chip in my head, and they went, every one of your bad parts we're just replacing with something. So there's almost like mindless servitors as the majority of the people that are in there. That just doesn't make me excited. You know what I mean? I guess if you really like the HQs, the HQs are awesome.
In custode lore, they are not an army that ventures out a lot, travels all over the world, and does millions of battles.
No, they're behind the scenes.
They're behind the scenes. They're the defenders of Terra. They do every once in a while a little strikeout, but it's really rare. And I don't know, they just don't feel great. I think they've got some good stories. There are definitely some good stories. Trajan has a couple of good stories, but C tier is probably the spot for them because they're enjoyable. They're a fun poster child for the Imperium, but they don't just stand out. They're just okay.
They do have a much larger army than they used to in any lore now. They've really started to push that. So
that's true. My issue with Custodes, first off, I mean Sisters, because Sisters of Silence are also part of that. They've got some, like the new 10th edition Codex is actually pretty good. There's like not the rules; those are hot garbage. But the actual but the lore itself, there's some cool stuff in there talking about like how the Custodes actually have they have their own black library. Like they actually have access to every secret in the Imperium, and they just don't tell anyone any of them. Like that's kind of cool. From a lore standpoint, there's some cool stuff on Custodes, but I think from a my issue with them has always been just they play like hot garbage.
Yeah. Also, I want to throw out the fact that I hit Custodes equal A for Jeff Robinson. I'm literally wearing a Jeff Robinson in control jersey right now. That is what I'm wearing. So
good for Jeff.
And again, we are talking just 40k lore. We're not including the heresy at this point. We're talking about them, in 40k. I think the 40K
yes and no, because I will bring up people like, I don't know, salamanders. I'm a big Vulcan fan. I don't know if you've ever known that. So,
because they don't have a faction anymore.
I will fight you over this. Salamanders.
We can try, but I'm just saying,
they're not in 10th edition. They haven't gotten any love.
No, they don't officially exist.
No
basically,
lore that wasn't a repeat of something that came earlier.
But this is not just 10th. This is
I know,
all of
but
40K.
I'm prefacing this. In all of 40K, I feel like they're that you want to love them.
I legitimately can't rank these. I'm going to let you guys rank salamanders because I love my salamanders so much that I will inappropriately rank these.
I think they're a B tier on a personal level because they try to protect citizens, which makes them kind of the only good feeling Space Marine chapter, in my opinion.
They're the only good guys. They're literally the only good guys.
They try to be good guys. They're still part of the Imperium, which makes them bad guys anyways. But they at least try to be good to the citizens, where every other Space Marine will just shoot, a guy in the back of the head to kill the guy in front of them. So whatever.
So I'm just gonna go.
I think they've got good lore. It's my issue. I think what Brian brought up really well is that there's not that much lore on them. Though the lore on them is good and interesting, but there's just not that much content. So that's why
they've got some really good novels though. Like I really like Vulcan Lives a lot. Now again, I'm already biased because I'm a big Salamander fan, but I also only play the good guys when I play video games and stuff. So
because same problem. I mean, I guess Custodes had the same problem too, because Custodes only had 3 books.
Yep.
I think Salamanders are probably, the Codexes are in that route too. There's just not that much on them.
There's quite a bit.
Orcs are S tier. We just skip that. That's done. That's an automatic. Orcs are the best.
I already put them in S plus, not even S.
There's no debating. Orcs are perfect.
I love it. Brandon called me out too. You're a little late to the party on that one, brother. I know I'm using an old tier list, but this is the one that I found, and I looked at it and I counted stuff, and then I did it wrong.
So orcs by far probably have the most enjoyable lore,
and they have a ton of it.
And they've gotten some of the best books in the last 5 years.
Yep, that's why they're an automatic because everything about them is good. Yep. I mean, their books are funny. Their books are interesting. I mean, everything about orcs is just genuinely enjoyable. It's the best.
Prophet of the Law I have listened to on audio probably 3 times now.
Yeah.
It's so good to hear a story from the supporting cast's role. To hear it from Makari's vision is just fantastic. It's so well done. I mean, even Brutal and Cunning, which was narrated by one of the worst narrators ever, was a good book.
He tried to do the voices too weird. That was the problem.
Yeah.
But orcs are just the thing with orcs. Everything about them, because the thing with orcs is, this is why I love them. They are written to be the most terrifying thing in the entire galaxy, but funny.
Yeah.
It's like you lose nothing. Yeah.
It's all of the good. Next we're gonna go with somebody that I want to like, but I'm gonna put him in C. Raven Guard. Raven Guard got smoked, came back, and their Primarch should be the super badassiest badass of all, but he's just being an invisible demon prince out there somewhere and being a little too emo for me.
I'd put him actually lower because what's the lore? Yeah, what is the lore on Raven Guard?
Yeah. Their successor chapters actually have some really cool stories. They've got a lot of short stories.
Yeah, but they're Raven Guard themselves, just themselves. If we're drinking them by thing, God, they're so whiny, petulant children.
They're just Raven Guard novels do suck. You know, I know somebody's. Hold on, I gotta go to the wall. I'm sure somebody else said that. Let me.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go. KR said that, and then Hunter said that. Let's say, I was thinking about it. When I originally thought about my ranking, there's a bunch of short stories about the successor chapters of them, and then I was like, what about the novels? And I'm like, oh yeah, the Raven Guard novels suck. Also,
they're just awful.
Well, their Primarch should be he should be crushing. He's literally a invisible demon prince that can sneak up on anybody at any time.
Yeah, but the thing about this is if you were stuck in a room for an hour to talk about Raven Guard, gonna be a lot of dead air.
No, I'd probably just bring up orcs again.
Because that's how I'm kind of ranking it. Is that if two people are sitting around on one topic, could they do a full hour on it? Orcs, absolutely, all day. Raven Guard? Oh.
I do know the reason I did by the way, use this old tier list is because the new tier list just didn't have the old books, the supplement books.
Mm-hmm. Let's do one that's not on there because I want to fuck with you because it's funny. Inquisition.
Yeah.
So now,
it doesn't count.
I think it's maybe the best lore, thanks to the Eisenhower.
That one we're going to say, I actually think Inquisition and Agents of the Imperium have some of the absolute best lore.
They also have a goddamn video game. So.
Yeah, I think that would actually be above orcs. I just want to because we don't.
Well, the Eisenhower books by themselves are badassity. You know what I mean? Inquisition is 1,000%.
Well, if we're doing Agents of the Imperium, so we're getting Inquisition and Assassins.
Yeah,
it's like, this is the best things we have.
Yeah, I mean, all of those are super amazing here
because the short stories they put out on Assassins over the last year.
And the Warhammer Plus stuff they've done on the Assassins.
But here's the thing, even the old Assassins, like 1993 Assassins.
Rogue Traders.
Lord Embiid, I agree, and Rogue Traders, which are in the Agents of the Imperium, right? Yep. So there are some other amazing stories.
I mean, that to me that's your ultimate. That's your SSS.
Well, you can't even. To be honest with you can't even rank that. They're so far ahead of everybody else because they also have the most relatable lore because it's usually a bunch of humans doing wild shit and dealing with all of this insane stuff. Like Eisenhorn's a cool dude, but Eisenhorn's also just a dude that's consistently having to deal with, oh man, is that another giant monster, evil prince?
I have to fight a chaos space marine.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna suck. Yeah. It's gonna suck real bad.
Yeah, and you're just like, what the shit? Now here's one that I don't know at all where to put. Where do we put the Harlequins? Harlequins have a lot of.
If we go with Harlequins back in, I'll go back to first and second edition. Mm-hmm. Harlequin's lore back then was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Right, really well written, really concise. Talked about them being limited numbers of players, and it was really well written. And then I think progressively it got shittier.
I think Ynnari killed them. That's always my opinion. Well, I think it was going really well. Then Ynnari came out, which was a great addition, but it just kind of muddled the whatchamacalls. In my mind, Ynnari muddled the Harlequins so badly. Yep. I would still put them at B though, because I think that the Solitaire alone is really cool lore.
I mean,
I agree with B, but they have to be. I think Salamander lore is slightly better than theirs. I think the Necron lore is. Yeah.
Because
I think the lowest
I don't know. Harlequins just had super good shit. The Harlequins had better lore when they were referred in other people's codices. You know what I mean? With the Craft War Codice, but also like Imperium had a lot of things where they referenced Harlequins doing shit. You know what I mean? Harlequins ninja raids.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to put Harlequins in the low end of B tier. Maybe as we go along, we bump them down, but.
Yeah, my issue with Harlequins is like they kind of were like the Imperial Assassins, but for the Eldar, which had them up at to me like more the A tier. But then ever since they got a codex and they had to kind of flesh them out a little bit more, it was like They got a little bit lamer, just because they had to not just have a solitaire and a death jester.
And yes, Harlequins did punk out Ghost Toads. It was a solitaire. White Scars might be my second least favorite.
I have raged
So
before.
you see that tier down there that says F?
Yeah.
I'm not putting him under Raven Guard. I'm sorry.
Oh,
They have stories at least, man. Khan rode out in the Horus Heresy.
Off the top of your head, name 5 White Scar stories that are interesting.
They're all Horus Heresy.
yeah, they're all Horus Heresy. They're not 40k stories.
That's my point. Like, they just don't exist in 40k. Like, it's like
Raven Guard at least have some terrible 40k books. White Scars have
fucking honor.
garbage.
Khan just trying to get a Dark Elder girlfriend.
that's my issue with White Scars. They're in F because there's nothing on them.
They've got to be F. I'm sorry.
Yeah, F or just NA for not available.
No, fine. I'm gonna let you guys do this one because I just don't like knights.
And so the lore in the codexes is actually pretty good.
The house lore in Imperial Knights is really cool. The Chaos Knights is but to be fair, the Chaos lore about some of the houses that fell, like the house that fell because they got attacked, and then basically they went in a back in time because they got attacked and went back and they were evil and they attacked, and because of all that happening is why they became evil in the first place. So some of those are kind of cool, the corruptions, but
yeah, and I think some of the lore on Knights, Russ, my thing on the Knights lore that I like is
that's the Chaos Knights book. So this is not all Knights together. This is just Chaos Knights.
Chaos Knights.
Chaos Knights are I actually think they're better than demons, but I don't think they're that much better than demons.
Yeah, that's it.
So I when we do to be fair, foreshadowing, I will put the Imperial Knights above the Chaos Knights for lore. Even though I like a lot of falls.
Yeah, the Imperial Knights at least give you the cool stuff where it's like in the books they're talking about how the knight functions with like all of the stuff you have to do to turn it on. Like that kind of stuff, and the way it interlinks with your brain. What happens when they shoved a Gretchen inside of one time that didn't go great. There's some fun stories with knights, so they do have a good lore, but like versus like orcs, Agents of the Imperium, that stuff, it's just not as robust.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some stuff. I mean, I may put them in C, and I'm going to put them right here. I'm gonna revisit it because I do like the fall of it. And when we talk about the Imperial Knights, because the Chaos Knights have a lot of the same thing, I do like the stories of the houses. You know what I mean, and how they work. They're basically fiefdoms. So
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure in 8th edition we didn't get both books, did we? Was there a Chaos Knights book in 8th edition?
Yes, but I can't remember if they had a full book. Because it was originally a White Dwarf is when they came out.
Yep.
Tyranids, bugs.
I'll let you make this call because you play them more than I do.
So not only do I play them, their lore from the get-go out of White Dwarf, and then with Tyranid attacks and all that were really fun, but they were Space Marine stories fighting against Tyranids. You really don't get Tyranid lore from their side because it's impossible.
Exactly.
But the horror and fear that they instill in the Imperium and in other races has to put them in A tier because they are the best antagonist.
But we're talking about, but their lore isn't. Their lore is always told from somebody else's thing. Does that give it their lore?
That's why it's tough. I mean, they're tough to rank on lore. I think they're good in. So, like, I think they're A tier because I really
give them an A tier because the GW writing is actually good. Where they said that we're going to make them a mystery. Yeah, that's why I would put them in A tier because they gave them their mystery. And
I'm gonna give you
cool.
I'm gonna give you guys B tier, and we're gonna revisit.
So the reason I think they're A tier, and without just going straight to the revisit, the reason I think they're in A tier is you make Ultramarines in 2 of the books look amazing because they beat the Tyranids at the end of the day, right? And
They're
without
the bad
that
guys.
antagonist, Ultramarines are just generically vanilla.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the
I mean,
base guys for the game. So.
I really, I think they're A tier, but Brad doesn't like them, so it's okay.
I'm just Brad. They're better than Necrons.
I already did that. I already moved it. So I might move them up to A because I've left A a little bit by itself. Let's talk about Death Guard, and I like Death Guard lore quite a bit. Typhus has fantastic stories. Mortarion stories are okay in the continuation. Typhus is a motherfucker, and he's the chosen of Nurgle. You know what I mean? Plus, you also have Beasts of Nurgle. You can't go wrong when you're talking about Grandfather Nurgle.
Yeah, I think Nurgle's probably up in that. It's definitely up in B tier for sure.
It's B tier without a doubt. I mean, it's probably. I think it's better than the Necron lore, and I think the love that Death Guard got in their edition was fantastic, and there were some really good stories there.
Yeah, and they're fun. That's the thing. It's like, again, going back to because my favorite are the orcs. Going back to the orcs, they sat there and they actually took something scary, which is death and disease, and made it a little bit giggly, like the Beasts of Nurgle. Even Nurglings, they made it kind of like I just move up to A. Because I think the lore is good, but it's also fun, which is why I would move them up to A.
You know what? They're gonna sit right next to Space Wolves.
Yeah, Space Wolves are going to be.
That's F tier without a doubt. No,
I might, I'll go S tier. I love me some puppies, man.
Space Wolves have some of the best stories. The Ragnar books were fantastic. Lucas the Trickster has.
I would say Lucas the Trickster. Everybody that's on a wolf basically has a good story. Logan Grimnar has mad, crazy, awesome stories. I don't know. Maybe there was a guy that ran in Terminator armor. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Arjax's stories are fantastic. To be honest with you, how are they not like right below orcs?
Yeah.
That's where you put them. Yeah, I mean that's why I put them too. It's like the only thing knocking them is just the orcs are more funny. That's about it. It's just the orcs win the race, but they're both in the running.
The best part is that this Chaos Space Marines. I can't actually read this. I
think the next one does look like Chaos Space Marines.
My vision's too shitty for that.
Me too. I'm actually trying to. I've been keeping them up like probably something.
Yeah, that's Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
So Chaos Space Marines are the second biggest foe of the Imperium. Without the fall of Cadia, which. Come on, that was all Chaos Space Marine story, pretty much.
I mean, I find it hard for them not to be an S tier. Yeah, A tier. I mean, man, they have so many. They're the main bad guy.
But they're always losing.
They have to lose unless you're going to blow up the game.
That's more my thing. My issue with them is that they're just an antagonist. That's my issue with the lore. I think they're largely just an antagonist.
It's just they are the main bad guy. I mean, let me tell you when the last time Chaos won, his name was Archeon. He blew up the game.
Oh yeah, it can go badly. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
I'm putting him up here. We'll debate this in a second.
All right.
I think that you know what? Let's talk about Imperial Knights because I said that I think they're better than Chaos Knights. How much better than are
they? I think their lore is better than Custodes right now, but I don't think it's better than Harlequins.
Are they the end of B though?
Entire time of 40K. Although some of the house stories are really amazing.
That's what I'm saying. I think that I'm going to go a full tier because I think that if you're putting Chaos Knights at C, I think we put Imperial Knights at B because the house, the house stories are really, really cool. So, DSM are the shredder of 40K.
Absolutely. And the nice part about shredding is don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
Boom!
Abaddon is Cobra Commander.
Yeah. I wanted to be Destro the whole time.
What's next on that list? Is that Dark Angels?
That's Dark Angels, and I literally don't know where to put them because if you take Dark Angels lore as a whole, if we were including Horus Heresy lore, because they've really fleshed out the Dark Angels and the Horus Heresy. Oh man!
But if you're just looking at 40K,
if you're just doing 40K, I mean, the Lions book, by the way, the novel was badass.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
There's still a C though. I'm sorry. There's still a C.
Yeah, there's still a C. I agree with that because they've never they didn't flush out Cypher even well with his one book.
Yeah.
They just, it feels like they've missed the boat on this one, and that's where I'm disappointed.
I'll give you that because this is
always
also
a bunch of almost.
It's a missed
of
opportunity
almost.
too, to be honest with you, because the Dark Angels Codex for 10th edition, I don't care about its power level. I'm talking about its story and its excitement. They laid an egg, you know what I mean? This thing should have been, because the Dark Angels, Lion just came back, and you're like, oh man, they're gonna make this lore awesome, and then we kind of just got a this lukewarm whatever book. Yeah. I mean, they have more lore. To be honest, the Dark Angels have been cool for a long time, but man, they had an opportunity and they didn't get it. Yeah, I mean.
So we have T-Sons next, which is the one that I don't like their lore. I'm sorry. It's just their 40K lore has been kind of shitty. But that's me. I didn't care for the books.
The Ahriman
books are really good.
And exceptionally
that's and again, I didn't care for the Ahriman books. It could
You didn't like the
me.
Ahriman books?
I didn't care for the Ahriman books.
I really like the
And
Ahriman books.
I'm with Ryan on this. I think Ahriman the story. I think the cliff notes of the Ahriman books are better than the Ahriman books.
Yeah.
I mean,
those things are like they're okay, but it's like, I don't know. They just don't do it for me. I'm sorry.
I could see. I mean, like, he's the most interesting thing that's happening because Magnus literally goes off and just outs in his tower.
He's a whiny, petulant child.
What else?
I mean, he did get his back snapped in half because he was sad.
He did. The issue
I mean,
is
if they're
you've got Beast of Nurgle, you've got. I mean, again, technically demons now, but with Death Guard, you've got at least some humor built into it. Chaos are obviously there, but with Dells and Sons, I'm like, all right, there's Ahriman, there's Magnus.
Ahriman's like a billion times more interesting to me than Magnus.
Things.
Yeah. I mean, Magnus is great in the game. Don't get me wrong, but his lore in the last two books has been kind of
Yeah. Again, it's Ahriman's pushing it forward. We've got 2 Primarchs, by the way. That's in the Death Guard could have gone even higher because I think Nurgle should be the most fun because of what they do, but they're literally carried by the fact that Typhus is all in on Nurgle, and Mortarian's just sad that he's Nurgle.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. KR, the Fang is a great book, and T-Sons are interesting in that book, but I would actually have to say that the Space Wolves carry that and make them interesting because the Space Wolves are so interesting.
So then up next we have Drukhari.
They're
I fucking love Drukhari.
I would put them S. Like, I'm putting them S. They are.
Yeah, I'm actually putting them S too. I actually put them. I mean, they're below the 2 that are already up there in S.
Yeah.
But man, do they have some great
Azrael
stories.
Levesque by himself puts them in A, and then everything else.
Yeah, I think Drukhari lore is fantastic. The books are well written. The multiple, everything's just fleshed out really well. Get it?
The dark, yeah, exactly. The dark cities, they have so many great stories, including a bunch of the Yanari stories that are from Dark Eldar. But they have like a very deep lore from the Covens and the witch cults and the Cabals. You know what I mean? And again, Azrael Levesque's whole mojo.
Haven't retconned the shit out of it either.
No,
Yeah.
they just keep adding to it. That's my thing.
Keep adding to it, and it seems like it's one fluid, solid story. I really like that about it. That's one of the reasons I like it so much.
Yeah, well, that's an amazing book, no question.
It has been. All of their books have been very, very good on that. So, coming in with the hot take, fucking Brandon. Yeah, Lilith's lore is amazing.
Yeah.
So, I like that quite a bit. Now, let's go to Sisters. Where are we putting Sisters? Sisters are a great army. Sisters lore is. I kind of want to wait to see. They 100% have a Fallen Phoenix Lord, by the way. We may have even talking about it in the lore cast, 40K lore cast.
Lore is better than Knights, and I think it's better than Harlequins. I just don't think it's any higher on that list.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the lore works, but
they have some really good stories because their work is a great catalyst for things.
Mhm.
Like they're one of the best like Gene Stealer cult rising up against them in one of the books is fantastic because it shows the sisters' unity and everything else, and it was really well, and it showed their inner workings very well. So I was really a fan of that. So I think their stories right now have been good. They're just not, you know,
I actually like their unit lore more than I like their army lore. Like Pendant Engines are just cool as hell to me. Like, you know, some of the what's it called, the Seraphims. Like there's parts of the book that I like a lot, but I just am not like their overall lore is like, we like the Emperor, and if you don't, I'm gonna melt you in the face. Like, yeah, all right.
The Bebop and Rocksteady of 40K.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that.
I mean, you're not
actually.
wrong, but
Yeah. All right, what's the next one there?
GSC. GSC should be higher than a lot of things, but they don't have enough lore. You know what I mean?
So
GSC are terrifying.
GSC in second edition and in first edition, terrifying. Right? Then we go third ignored, fourth ignored, fifth ignored, sixth ignored. Hey, in seventh edition, they're back.
Kind of. In the eighth edition,
they had a lot of ignored.
It's just that the fact of them, I just love the idea, the horror, because GSC are a horror story. They're not an action movie. They're a horror movie because they infiltrate your planet. Your best friend could be manipulated by gene stealers. It's just everything about them is crazy. I don't know if it's hard to do that on the table. They do it fairly well.
We're about to get in Necromunda where they talk about the infected tech priest.
Yes.
I mean, the little story they put out just on Warhammer Community for that, I was like, ooh, excited. I'm buying the Necromunda book just to read the story. So, I mean, I'm telling you, I might be a little bit of a fanboy.
I'm down to see, though.
But,
like, I just think that, to Brian's point, there's just not enough lore. It's like, we know.
No,
sorry. I mean, where do you want me to put them, though?
I put them on the upper end of C. Yeah.
I think they're a B tier. I'll
put them at the bottom of B. I do have to give. Yeah. I have to do the Lyle Dixon super chat, $5 super chat. I'm Ricky Bobby. If you don't like Blood Angels and they think I have their best lore, then fuck you.
Are Blood Angels on here somewhere? Or are they coming up?
They're the very last one we're doing.
Well, we'll have to do them, and then we'll do the two editions. We'll have to do Votan and what's it called that got added.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Iron Hands.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Sorry, who cares? F? I don't care.
They're better than Raven Guard, but man, they had like at the end of seventh, they got their Gathering Storm books and stuff.
They have no lore. They're like the White Scars. There's almost no lore on them.
I mean, well, let's talk about. We can always Weekend at Bernie's the head of their Primarch.
They got one novel during the Gathering Storm that was pretty interesting. They're better than Raven Guard. I'm not going to put them any high. They're not better than Chaos Demons, so that's fine. Right.
Exactly, KR. Iron Hands heads the list. Hey, whose Primarch's not getting brought back? The one without a head.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You know what? We're going to have to talk about Codex Barsati.
All right, so Tau, if they're the F tier, I can't stand Tau lore. So
Tau lore was so cool in the beginning.
I actually think you get 2 out of 3 of this guys are like, no. There's not enough. My issue with Tau lore was always going to be there's not enough Tau. They would just lose and be eliminated. It'd be a very fast genocide, and there'd be no Tau left.
How are Tau not F tier? Take them out of that goddamn B tier.
Oh, I already did. I threw everybody up in a random place, and then I moved them around.
All right.
I did put them over White Scars just to fuck with White Scars. I think they're better than
White Scars, but I think that's about as far as I'll go. I'd rather read an Iron Hands book than a Tau book.
You can tell the people have been playing the game for a while because none of us like Tau.
I kind of want to throw Iron Hands even lower, to be honest with you.
I just don't like their lore. They just did. I don't know. I just don't like their lore.
You know what? Screw this. I'm putting Iron Hands in F tier also. I thought about it more. and I don't like
All
it.
right.
There's no books. That's the thing. Is it's this piece of like if someone hands you a book on Tau, you're like, ooh, this is going to be a long read.
Also, the Gorgon's chain used to piss me the fuck off, so that's 7th edition.
Oh, fair enough.
Grey
Grey
Knights have
Grey Knights have good.
amazing and terrible lore at the same time. They're all over.
So we're gonna throw the 5th edition
I would put it
Codex
at
lore
A tier,
out, right?
There's a
I mean,
lot
rules wise, they were awesome.
Yeah, but the lore in that 5th edition book was just written by a 3rd grader with a crayon.
Oh, it was nothing. It was also super small too. I'm like,
Yeah.
these guys are good. Why? Because they live in a magic planet of ice cream and rainbows. You're like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I just
I
think
agree with you. I think they're low. I think they're probably the lowest B tier.
You think I was gonna put them in the mid? They do have some like pretty awesome battles against demons and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. So they're me. I don't know if they're definitely not better than GSC. I'm sorry. I will argue that to the end of time.
I'm gonna put them in B right now, and we might move a couple people that are in B up to A. So we might shuffle.
Okay.
Space Marines, just put them in S.
I have actually
Yeah.
put more people above White Scars just to upset Brandon. How dare you put evil on me? I'm not even doing. I mean, Space Marines is everything, so I'm not bothering. I'm putting.
It's basically they're S plus tier because they have to be.
Well, I'm just saying we're doing Ultramarines. Well, thanks for coming to the $5 super chat.
Good luck with those letters.
Yeah, Guvesa believed a greater good chaos god is into existence in the lore. Your arguments are invalid. That's the most interesting thing going on right now. The Emperor is literally becoming a chaos god for the good. Yeah. That is so much more interesting than Tau basically like really hard thinking about something in the warp and it almost happening. I'm pretty sure they're just gonna have like a little bubble god that just floats around. Hey guys, shut up. Are Ultramarines just somewhere in the top? I mean, they're in every good thing.
They have to be A tier just because they are the poster child.
Yeah, I mean, they're at least.
They get very good writing. I mean,
Calgar does have some of the best. Calgar actually has some really good stories. So
I mean, in the Codex wise, I mean, if you're talking about just the things that have come out with the Indominus Crusade and Leviathan and everything else, Bobby G coming back is a big deal. Those are some good stories.
Well, I mean, that's because the thing is Bobby G gets to play into the whole Yannari lore. Very good. So that's where I kind of go, yeah, they get bumped up quite a bit. My eyes aren't good enough for whoever the next one is.
It's Death
that
Watch.
Black Templar?
It's Death Watch. It's.
Blech.
I'm putting them in.
They can be below White Scars. I'm okay with that.
I mean,
I've never read a good Death Watch.
I actually think their lore is pretty cool. It just doesn't translate very well.
I mean, what they're supposed to be, they're basically SEAL Team 6 of Marines. You know what I mean? The story wise,
being looped in with Inquisition actually makes their lore better.
I mean, if you say they're part of the Inquisition, they're part of the S team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Is now that we know they're going to be pushed in with Inquisition, now they're a lot better. But yeah, as a Space Marine faction, you're kind of like, they just lore never made any sense. But as an Inquisition faction, they're actually pretty cool. Because they're in Eisenhorn, obviously, and like just it's one dude and he wrecks shop. So
Xenos does cash the J2 story, so they have pretty awesome gear. They don't really suffer from that.
So do we have Guard up next?
IG is up next.
S tier. I love Guard. Sorry, I love Guard.
I mean, are we putting it in the S tier because Kaifas Kane exists and Gonskos exists?
Well, and honestly, Death Corps of Krieg exists. I mean, it's just like there's so much about them that's actually I actually put them there.
I'm not gonna. If you're going for, if we were just doing books, I'd put them at the top. I'm gonna put them in S++ or S+.
Yeah, I mean, just honestly,
I'm okay with an S+ because overall they have some of the best stories in the game, and for me, one of the stories that drew me in to love just the game was reading about the Vestroyans.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic at the beginning of the game, and I really enjoyed it. So I am all about putting them in S++.
Cadia stands. I mean, Kyphus Kane. Not if you just I think they would have got A tier just by Kyphus Cade and Gaunt's Ghost existing, and then you give the rest of the lore, and it just shoots them into the stratosphere. They have a ton of really, especially their novels. Their novels fucking hit it out of the park. Yeah,
I mean, between them and Space Marines, by far the most novels, but I think the most interesting books to me always Guard play a significant role in it.
I actually primarily read codexes. It's actually my favorite thing to read in this game. Guard codexes are really good, and they have the uplifting primer. I mean, they just win. Just the uplifting primer alone, they win.
The uplifting primer is probably the number one. It's something that should never go out of print from Black Library. It should always be available because I think every 40K player would buy one. It should be free.
They should just give it to every player.
It's also fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. One of the funniest moments on any of our casts, Brad, was when Zuber pulled out the uplifting primer and just started reading out of it.
Oh God, that was fantastic.
It's one of the best things they've ever produced. So yeah, that's what they're S tier by a mile.
Yeah.
Where are my boys? Where are my elves at?
Eldar are also S tier. I mean, they just are.
You really think so? I mean, you guys are both Eldar fanboys.
I'll let you make the decision on this because we are fans. It's I mean, we did stretch the lore cast into 4 episodes of Eldar lore, so.
And we could have done more.
I'm low A tier. I'll be fine with.
All right, fine.
I mean, they're very interesting. Did I actually do Custodes instead of?
Do the Eldar have? They don't have novels the way everyone else does. But that's something that I would say would hold their lore back a little bit. Is they don't have the novels everyone else has.
So
they get more short stories than anybody else, though.
Yeah.
All right, I had to swap that out because we actually rated AdMech, and then I put Custodes up there instead of AdMech. So now we're doing Custodes.
Well, no, we did Custodes.
No, we did Custodes.
I thought we did
AdMech.
AdMech.
We did Custodes. You just put the wrong one up. So now we'll do AdMech.
All right, I don't like their lore.
No one does.
So AdMech has some of the worst stories in the game.
Yeah.
And they always seem to get beaten by whatever they're against and lose horribly.
Yeah.
They're the one part
has some funny stories.
I mean, they're literally in charge of making Primaris Marines. Yeah,
but
also you have to give them credit because some of the stories and they got a couple of the Warhammer Plus things. It is funny that AdMech legitimately gives no shit what the fight's going on. If they want to recover something, they just abandon whoever they're supposed to be helping.
That's the AdMech have some very funny stories, which is kind of where I like them a little bit. That's why I wouldn't put them at White Scars level because they're at least mildly interesting. But Brian said right, they always lose and get their ass kicked. There's not
I don't find them to be interesting enough to say that they're above a lot of these other things.
Yeah.
Anna does have a point. It was a Dalia Farseers of the War for 40K. The writer wants to show how psychic someone is. A Farseer basically with a red shirt shows up in the scene to get warped. You're like, we've never heard about this Farseer, and you never will again because so-and-so wants to smoke him.
Yeah. I would put the AdMech probably at D tier, is where they would be.
I'm not putting them above demons for sure.
Yeah.
So, Blood Angels. Blood Angels are boss mode, kids. They're going somewhere in the top of this.
I wouldn't put them. I wouldn't put S.
The Devastation of Fall is probably one of my favorite 40K books that involves Space Marines. So, yeah.
I mean, also, Dante basically stood next to the Silent King and went, what? So
I think they're better than Ultramarines for lore overall.
Because of Lyle, I wanted to explode.
Yeah, I think I just think the Ultramarines have more stories. That's the thing. I think the Blood Angels are more interesting.
Look at Lyle coming in with the $2 super chat. Space, vampire, Jesus. fuck! I'm gonna die on that one.
I think that,
Bad live stream.
yeah,
Oh, fuck.
That's not Jesus.
Well, let's figure out the
But
ones
anyway.
that I didn't get because I'm technologically an idiot. Saying can't really debate that today.
So, Votan, at least on the little bit of lore they have
it's good.
for the current lore, man, they're good.
Ah,
Their
fuck you guys
codexes
on
are
that.
really interesting.
Space
The
Wars
codex is
don't
good.
have wizards.
What if we count Votan with squats?
Ooh, then I'm back in.
Yeah, now,
I'm all up to like high B, maybe A.
I think it's A. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because the squats lore was so cool and they killed it. And Votan are not squats, but are squats. We'll get a codex. But I do think that, yeah.
What? Hold on. Let's get the Mando coming to $5 super chat. He goes, White Scars and F tier is a wild take. Best heresy book series by far.
Right.
And if we were including heresy in this, it'd be a different
Oh,
ranking.
100%. We said we were
Just look
only
at-
doing modern lore, basically. So,
yeah.
if we were doing Horus Heresy, yes. I argued this in the beginning. You guys, I got overruled on this one in the original mag because both John and Brian basically told me no on the Horus Heresy because I was saying the cool things that have happened. Khan does a bunch of super badass shit in the Horus
He
Heresy.
does. Not for 10,000 years.
And I agree with you. That new White Dwarf, which technically hasn't hit the stands yet, the lore in that for Votan is.
I have not read that one yet.
Okay. I'll pull it
I
up.
mean, it comes out Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Bye.
This Templars
Yeah.
Eaters, you know what's so funny is that the Templars are legitimately successor chapter, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, we can dive into that. But yeah, I think I would say I agree. I think Votan or BA. I really do. I think that.
Yeah, I would put him. I don't put him above Tyranids because I'm just going to argue that one for a bit. But I think their lore is better than Necrons right now.
Mhm.
More interesting.
World
Yeah,
Eater
yeah,
lores,
Black-
I'm going to go backwards on this one. We just put it from Lord in Asia. I actually think that World Eater lore is fantastic because they're another great foil. Like, think about Angron. Angron is legitimately has a record of 7,400 against everybody that's not a boss, and he's 0-100 against every final boss. He is literally there to show how tough you are, and that's his whole in life. Oh God, KR coming in with the down on super chat. Go Buffs, and for an unbroken streak, go Blue.
You're a bad year. Yeah, I agree. My issue with World Eaters, like Karn's they've got some cool stories here and there, but they're a punching bag. It's more than anything else. They in the lore, they build them up in the lore to make them this incredible force, and then you overcome the incredible force.
Exactly. They're literally the
Iron
thing. They're the antagonists that you take down, so they always pick them up. So I'm saying, Angron crushes everyone in his path. No one can stop him, and then they show, whoever's the tough person taking him down. Same thing with the Legion itself. You have to fight against the World Eaters, and then if you can fight it, they crush everyone, and then when you beat them, it shows how tough you are.
Yeah. Like how many Primarchs beat Angron in the hand-to-hand fight?
It's
Yeah.
Matt's got 5. I thought it was 6 actually.
Yeah.
He's won 0 though.
Imperial Fist spread though. That's the real lore question. For
Is
Brad
there
Chester.
something below F?
Is there?
I hate
They
Rogal
get
Dorn
extra
so
points.
much.
We should give them at least some level of benefit because anyone who owns them, who paints that much yellow on models, give them something, man, because that was rough. That was not a fun day.
Fine, we'll say they're better than Death Watch.
I'll give it to you, Larry. He goes, Dorn is amazing. I have just an irrational hatred of Dorn, especially after he was sitting with his double-brimmed hat that said Horus on one side and the Emperor on the other while he was watching them fight, and because he got lost, whatever. But I have to admit that Dorn is he's just so boring for me. And but he's like tough as shit in all the fucking, stories that he's in. He's just this anvil dude.
Yeah, I think the only ones we have left. So we do have Black Templars, who are.
I mean, they're a successor chapter though. They're Imperial Fest successor chapter.
Yeah, they're more interesting.
They are their own.
Yeah, I know, but they are a successor. They're just a Crusade chapter. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they're a good B tier. I'm okay with them there.
I mean, they've got some good. Their characters have good ass lore. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't put them that high.
Armageddon is Armageddon.
Yeah.
So.
It's true.
It's pretty good on that. I don't think we've missed anybody else though.
No, I pulled a list just to be safe. So yeah, there's some randos here and there, but that pretty much covers us. Unless we want to get into more specific like chapters within factions.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't want to go into the Templars, because they are a successor chapter. You know what I mean? We're trying to do all the main.
I think Brian is right. I think we do need to move Tyranids up to A. Kind of looking at just how crowded B is. I think the Tyranids belong in A because they really are just, of all the baddies, I actually think they're actually the most interesting of the baddies because we don't know anything about them. Like they could literally be here by random fact, or they could be here with an express purpose, and we have no idea. That's cool.
And you don't know if they're running from something from the way they just keep moving forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be some seriously awful shit happening.
And this is where I'm going to go with the argument of there are no good guys in 40K. There are none. Zero, absolutely zero. Tyranids are the quiz.
Tyranids are the most pure.
Good guys, because guess what they're doing? They're eating and surviving. They don't care what's in their way. They're just eating and surviving.
I don't know.
Natural instinct.
I think Old One Eye not just eating and surviving. I think Old One Eye's on it. He's trying to get his own book, the Old One Eye Adventures.
Yeah, I will say, Brian, I will argue with you only on orcs there because I think orcs are just fighting and surviving. And that's all that they're doing.
But orcs will beat the crap out of each other. Tyranids will go, "Oh, you're there. I'm just going to go over here and eat."
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Tyranids actually do have a purpose. Yeah, that's a very.
I do miss the Red Terror. Red Terror had a good story too.
Red Terror had great.
Should we pull anybody that's in the bottom here out of the bottom, or is everybody staying in the bottom here?
Can we move White Scars lower?
I mean, to be honest with you, even though I hate Tau and I want them to be F, they're better than Ravenguard.
Yeah, that's true. Tau.
They're better than Ravenguard.
No, like, we're shitting on Tau for fun, but the truth is Tau lore is at least written. Like it actually exists.
I mean, it's definitely. I actually would probably go with they're definitely D to C tier.
The book not in the list, KR, is just the old Space Marine, but we've already covered the actual chapters. So this is the Space Marine vanilla book.
Yeah, and Space Marines are auto S plus tier.
Yeah, so. I mean, if you put all of them together, yeah, they're the tops. They're the bee's knees.
It's like the game's written about them. So, yeah, I mean, it's the Tau lore.
Oh, Paint Celestine coming in with a good point, though. Can we have Tau lore and a separate ranking for Farsight lore? Because Farsight lore is actually really cool.
Yeah, but Tau as a whole. I mean, if we're looking at, we're not going to start looking at every subchapter of everything.
I
we
think
did it for Marines a bit too much, but
I think that the original Tau lore was much more interesting than the new Tau lore. They're trying to make it too intriguey and stuff going on. I love the idea of basically
the Tau take up this much of this much space.
I mean they're so small.
Just not.
Yeah, my biggest issue with the Tau is they could get eliminated by accident.
Yep.
It's like, oh, we blew up a system. Oh, there's no Tau anymore. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just going back to the list right now. Yeah.
Fucking Brandon. White Scars have 2 novels, and yet they are still F tier.
They are. They're good novels.
Just bad novels.
White Scars have more novels than Bike Captains. Oh, shots fired. Oh, I love it. Anna piling on. Wait, didn't the White Scars novels go Legends?
Absolutely. I'm sorry. When White Scars in the current Space Marine book have the leader of the White Scars walking around on foot,
Oh yeah, fuck
I'm
that.
just saying,
Or so Kyle just
shitty
wandering, looking for his
Yeah.
bike apparently, longingly in the
I
distance.
lost my bike. Anybody see my
That's
bike?
stupid.
I don't know where my bike is.
All right. Tell me something about Salt City. I've already put up links to 40K Lorecast Discord and the 40K Lorecast, the 40KLorecast.com, otherwise known as 40K Lorecats.
So if you're registered for the Salt City GT, don't forget that the list due date for 40K is the 6th. All the player packs for all the events are up on thesaltcitygt.com. We do still have a few spaces left for 40K, but I think there's a couple for Age of Sigmar, but Marvel Crisis Protocol sold out, Kill Team sold out, and we are good to go. So I have 95% of everything ready. So we are, by the end of hopefully tomorrow, I'll be 100% ready and solid and on our way to Salt City. August 9th, 10th, and 11th. And don't forget on the 8th, if you're in town, Brad's doing a coaching session. Come on out and enjoy it. And then afterwards, of course, we'll have a couple cocktails and talk about the next day.
Living life, living large. With that, everyone, let's do a Queens wave. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Listen to our nonsense. And we'll see you on the flip side. Stay milky.